The stars looked peaceful through the bridge windows of the Terra's edge. Captain Lisa Brooks stood with her hands behind her back, watching the blue and green planets spinning slowly below them. After 6 months of traveling through empty space, finding a world that looked so much like Earth felt like a miracle. "Scans are complete, Captain," said Jack Murphy from the navigation station. His fingers moved across the control panel as data flowed across his screen. "The atmosphere is perfect for humans. Oxygen levels at 21%, nitrogen at 78%. Temperature ranges from 20 to 30 degrees in the temperate zones." Lisa nodded. "What about the surface?" "3 large continents, lots of water," Tony Martinez called out from the engineering station. His dark eyes were bright with excitement. "Mineral deposits everywhere. Iron, copper, rare earth elements. This place is a gold mine." Dr. Nathan Clark looked up from his science station, his gray hair messy from running his hands through it. "Captain, you need to see this." The deep scans picked up something unusual. Lisa walked over to his station. The screen showed a cross-section of the planet's crust. Far below the surface, geometric shapes glowed in different colors. They were clearly not natural formations. "Artificial structures," Nathan said quietly. "Massive ones. Whoever built them had technology far beyond what we expected to find here." Katie Williams, the communications officer, suddenly straightened in her chair. "Captain, I'm picking up a ship, big one, coming around the far side of the planet." Lisa felt her stomach tighten. First contact situations were always dangerous. On screen, the main viewer flickered and showed a vessel that made the Terra's edge look like a toy boat. The alien ship was at least 3 kilometers long, with flowing curves and a dark purple hull that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols glowed along its sides, and weapon ports were clearly visible. "They're hailing us," Katie said, her voice steady despite the tension on the bridge. "Open a channel," Lisa ordered. She straightened her uniform and prepared herself. This moment would go down in human history as either humanity's greatest triumph or its final mistake. The screen changed to show the interior of the alien bridge. The being that looked back at them was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large black eyes. He wore what looked like a military uniform covered in medals and insignia. When he spoke, his voice was cold and filled with contempt. "I am High Arbiter Zexthul of the Zephyrian Empire," the alien said. "You will identify yourselves immediately and explain your presence in our territory." Lisa kept her voice calm and diplomatic. "I am Captain Lisa Brooks of the human vessel Terra's Edge. We're explorers from Earth conducting peaceful scientific research. We had no knowledge this system was claimed by your empire." Zexthul's eyes narrowed. "Humans," he said the word like it tasted bad. "Yes, we know of your pathetic species. You spread through space like insects, weak and numerous. Your technology is primitive, your military laughable." "We come in peace," Lisa said firmly. "We're scientists and explorers, not conquerors. Perhaps we could establish diplomatic relations between our peoples. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges." The alien laughed, a harsh sound that made everyone on the bridge flinch. "Diplomatic relations? With mammals who barely learned to leave their own star system? You amuse me, human." Lisa felt anger building inside her, but she kept it carefully controlled. Behind her, she could hear Tony's fingers tapping nervously on his console. Jack was running silent scans of the alien ship, gathering as much data as possible. "We have been watching your species for decades," Zexthul continued. "You build small ships and call yourselves explorers. You send tiny probes to nearby systems and think you understand the galaxy. You are children playing with toys. What do you want from us?" Lisa asked directly. "Want?" Zexthul's laugh was even colder this time. "We want nothing from you except your immediate surrender. This system belongs to the Zephyrian Empire. You will submit to boarding and inspection. Your crew will be taken as slaves, and your ship will be destroyed as an example to other humans who dare venture into our space." The bridge fell completely silent. Lisa could feel her crew waiting for her response. She looked at the alien commander, studying his confident expression and arrogant posture. He clearly believed humans were no threat at all. "Let me make sure I understand," Lisa said slowly. "You're demanding our surrender. You plan to enslave my crew and destroy my ship. And you're doing this because you consider humans inferior. Correct?" Zexthul said with satisfaction. "Your species is weak. You have no military worth mentioning. Your largest ships are smaller than our patrol vessels. You pose no threat to the Zephyrian Empire." Lisa nodded thoughtfully. She walked to the center of the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back. When she spoke again, her voice carried a tone that made her crew sit up straighter. It was a voice they had never heard from their usually diplomatic captain. "High Arbiter Zexthul," she said, looking directly into the alien's black eyes. "We came to the system in peace. We offered friendship, trade, and cultural exchange. We extended the hand of diplomacy to your empire." She paused, letting her words sink in. "You have chosen to respond with threats of slavery and destruction. You have made your position very clear." Her voice grew colder with each word. "So let me make our position equally clear." The alien leaned forward, interested despite himself. "You have one opportunity to reconsider your current course of action," Lisa continued. "You can withdraw your demands, leave this system peacefully, and report to your superiors that you encountered humans who were willing to negotiate in good faith. Or," Zexthul asked with amusement. Lisa's eyes were like ice. "Or you can continue with your current plan and discover exactly how wrong your assumptions about humanity really are." She took a step closer to the screen. "This is the only warning you will receive. Choose wisely." Zexthul burst into laughter. "A warning? From you?" He wiped tears from his eyes. "Human, your entire species could not threaten a single Zephyrian battlecruiser. You have no weapons, no military, no power. What could you possibly do to the mighty Zephyrian Empire?" Lisa smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "You're about to find out." She gestured to Katie, who cut the communication. The alien's laughing face disappeared from the screen, replaced by the view of his massive warship. "Captain," Jack said quietly, "long-range sensors are detecting more ships. Lots of them. A whole fleet is jumping into the system." Lisa nodded calmly. "Katie, send the activation codes to Earth Command. All frequencies. Maximum power." "Yes, Captain," Katie replied, her fingers flying over her controls. "Tony, prepare the ship for combat maneuvers. Nathan, I want continuous scans of those alien vessels. Jack, plot us a course to minimum safe distance." As her crew carried out their orders, Lisa looked out at the stars once more. The Zephyrians had no idea what they had just started. They saw humans as weak, primitive, harmless creatures who could be enslaved or destroyed at will. They were about to learn the truth about humanity. And when they did, it would be far too late to take back their threats. The warning had been given. Now it was time to see if the Zephyrians were smart enough to heed it. High Arbiter Zexthul paced the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion of Veltar. The encounter with the human captain still amused him. The female had actually tried to threaten the Zephyrian Empire. Him, a warrior who had conquered 12 systems and enslaved 6 different species. "Commander Yexdal," he called to his second-in-command, "contact the High Command immediately. Inform them we have discovered human activity in the outer territories." Commander Yexdal, a scarred veteran with cybernetic implants replacing his left arm, bowed his head. "At once, High Arbiter. Should I request additional forces?" Zexthul waved his hand dismissively. "No need. One dreadnought is more than sufficient to handle a few human explorers. But the High Command will want to know about this development." The communication system activated, and the image of Supreme Commander Velkoth appeared on the main screen. The leader of all Zephyrian military forces was ancient by their standards, his blue skin marked with the ritual scars of countless victories. His black eyes held the cold intelligence of a predator. "High Arbiter," Velkoth's voice carried the authority of absolute power. "Report. Supreme Commander, we have encountered human forces in the Kepler 442 system. A single exploration vessel with minimal armament. The captain attempted to negotiate, then issued what she called a warning when I demanded their surrender." Velkoth's scarred face showed interest. "A warning? How fascinating. The humans grow bold. Shall I destroy them immediately?" Zexthul asked eagerly. "No," Velkoth said thoughtfully. "This presents an opportunity. Our new plasma cannon designs need field testing before we assault the Andromedan Coalition. Human ships will serve as perfect targets." The Supreme Commander leaned forward in his command chair. "How many ships did they have?" "One vessel, approximately 400 meters long. Crude design, basic propulsion systems. Their weapons appear to be kinetic projectile launchers and primitive energy beams." Velkoth nodded. "Typical human technology. Decades behind our capabilities." He paused, considering. "I want you to wait for the main battle fleet. We will use this encounter as a training exercise for our newer officers. Supreme Commander, surely a single dreadnought is sufficient for one human ship." Perhaps, Velkoth agreed, but intelligence reports suggest humans have been expanding their exploration efforts. Better to make an overwhelming display of power, destroy their ship completely, then broadcast the battle footage throughout human space. It will discourage further expansion into our territories. Meanwhile, aboard the Terra's Edge, Lisa Brooks stood in her ready room reviewing classified files that very few humans had ever seen. The documents were marked with the highest security clearance levels of Earth Command. Jack Murphy entered after requesting permission. "Captain, the quantum communication array is ready. We're in direct contact with Admiral Porter." Lisa nodded. "Patch him through to my private channel." The wall screen activated, showing the weathered face of Admiral Scott Porter, head of the Terran Defense Force. His gray hair and lined face spoke of years spent preparing for exactly this moment. "Lisa," he said without preamble, "we received your activation codes. The Zephyrians took the bait?" "They did, sir." The commander was exactly as arrogant as our intelligence suggested. Complete contempt for human capabilities, absolute confidence in their superiority. "Good. How many ships are we looking at?" "Jack's detecting at least 50 vessels jumping into the system. Probably more coming. They're treating this as some kind of training exercise." Admiral Porter smiled grimly. "Perfect. The more ships they bring, the better the demonstration will be." He paused. "Lisa, are you and your crew ready for this?" "We've been ready for 20 years, sir. Ever since the Academy. Remember, the Ghost Fleet AI will handle the heavy lifting. Your job is to survive long enough for the activation to complete and provide tactical data. Do not engage directly unless absolutely necessary." "Understood, Admiral. What about the planet below? Our scans detected ruins of an extinct civilization. Intel believes they were called the Archeans, peaceful species that the Zephyrians wiped out about 300 years ago. Another reason to make sure none of these bastards make it home." Back on the Zephyrian flagship, Zexthal received confirmation that the main battle fleet was entering the system. 50 warships, including 3 dreadnoughts and the flagship of Supreme Commander Velkoth himself, the massive Eternal Conquest. "High Arbiter," Commander Yexdal reported. "All ships are in position. The humans appear to be withdrawing to the outer system." "Running already?" Zexthal laughed, and their captain called it a warning. Pathetic. On the bridge of the Eternal Conquest, Supreme Commander Velkoth studied the tactical display. The single human ship was indeed retreating, maintaining distance from the Zephyrian fleet. Exactly what he expected from an inferior species. "Communications," he ordered. "Open a channel to the human vessel. I want to speak with their captain personally." Katie Williams looked at Lisa with raised eyebrows. "It's their Supreme Commander, Captain. The big boss himself." On screen, Velkoth's scarred face appeared on the bridge viewer. His presence was commanding, intimidating. This was a being who had personally led the conquest of dozens of worlds. "Human Captain," he said in a voice like grinding stone. "I am Supreme Commander Velkoth of the Zephyrian Empire. You stand before the might of 50 warships and the greatest military force this galaxy has ever known." Lisa remained perfectly calm. "I can see that. Your warning has been noted and dismissed," Velkoth continued. "Your species lacks the power to threaten even a single Zephyrian patrol boat. You will now witness the consequences of entering territory claimed by a superior race." "Are you giving me another chance to surrender?" Lisa asked. "Surrender is no longer an option. You insulted High Arbiter Zexthal with your laughable threats. The penalty for such insolence is death." Lisa nodded slowly. "I see. So you've decided to ignore our warning and proceed with hostilities. What warning could insects possibly give to gods?" Velkoth asked with amusement. "The same warning we've given to every species that chose violence over diplomacy," Lisa replied. "The same warning your people ignored when they wiped out the Archeans on the planet below." Velkoth's eyes narrowed. "How do you know about the Archeans?" "We know about a lot of things, Supreme Commander, including the 43 systems you've conquered, the billions of beings you've enslaved, and the peaceful civilizations you've destroyed simply because you could. And what do you intend to do about it with your single ship?" Lisa smiled, that same cold smile she had given Zexthal. "We don't intend to do anything about it. We already did something about it." She gestured to Katie, who cut the communication. "Captain," Jack called from his station, "I'm reading massive gravitational anomalies throughout the system. Something big is coming." "Actually," Lisa said quietly, "lots of something big." Tony looked up from his engineering console. confusion on his face. "Captain, I'm detecting energy signatures that don't match any known human technology. Where are they coming from?" Dr. Nathan Clark was studying his sensors with growing excitement. "Captain, whatever's out there, it's been there for a long time. The energy patterns suggest these objects have been dormant, waiting for some kind of activation signal." Lisa walked to the center of the bridge, her expression serious. 23 years ago, when humanity first achieved faster-than-light travel, our leaders made a decision. They realized that eventually we would encounter hostile species, races that viewed diplomacy as weakness and conquest as natural law. She paused, watching the tactical display as dozens of new contacts appeared throughout the system. So they began the Ghost Fleet project, automated warships controlled by advanced AI, deployed secretly throughout the galaxy, hidden in asteroid fields, nebulae, and the outer regions of systems. Waiting. Jack's voice was barely a whisper. Waiting for what, Captain? For someone to threaten humanity. For someone to ignore our warnings and choose violence over peace. Lisa looked at each of her crew members. The activation codes I sent weren't calling for help. They were waking up the Ghost Fleet. On the screen, the Zephyrian fleet was suddenly surrounded by ships that hadn't been there moments before. Sleek, angular vessels that looked nothing like human exploration craft. These ships were built for one purpose only: war. "How many ships, Jack?" Lisa asked quietly. Jack's hands trembled as he read his instruments. "Captain, I'm counting over 3,000 contacts. And more are still appearing," Lisa nodded. "The Zephyrians wanted to know what humans could do when threatened. Now they're going to find out." The bridge of the Eternal Conquest erupted in chaos. Officers shouted reports while alarms blared throughout the massive ship. Supreme Commander Velkoth stood frozen, staring at the tactical display that showed thousands of unknown contacts surrounding his fleet. "Report," he roared, his voice cutting through the noise. "Supreme Commander," his tactical officer stammered, "we're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Ships are appearing everywhere. They weren't there before." "How many ships?" Velkoth demanded. "Unknown, sir. The sensors can't get accurate counts. They're using some kind of stealth technology we've never encountered." Commander Yexdal rushed to his leader's side. "Sir, these ships don't match any known design in our databases. The configuration is completely alien to us." On the High Arbiter ship, Zexthal was experiencing his own crisis. His bridge crew was reporting the same impossible readings. Ships that appeared from nothing, surrounding them with mathematical precision. "Contact the human vessel immediately," he ordered. Katie Williams on the Terra's edge looked up from her console. "Captain, they're hailing us again." The High Arbiter looked scared. "Put him through," Lisa said calmly. Zexthal's face appeared on screen and his usual arrogance was gone. His large black eyes were wide with fear and confusion. "Human Captain, what is happening? Where did these ships come from?" "Those are Ghost Fleet vessels," Lisa replied simply. "Humanity's real military force." "Impossible. Our intelligence reports showed humans have no significant military capabilities. Your largest ships are exploration vessels like your own." Lisa nodded. "That's what we wanted you to believe. Every major power in the galaxy thinks humans are weak explorers with primitive technology. We've spent decades maintaining that illusion." "You're lying," Zexthal said, but his voice lacked conviction. "High Arbiter, your people have conquered 43 systems by attacking species that weren't prepared for war. You prey on peaceful civilizations, enslaving or destroying them, but humanity learned long ago that the galaxy is full of predators like you." The view screen split to show Supreme Commander Velkoth joining the conversation. His scarred face was grim as he studied the impossible situation his fleet now faced. "Human," Velkoth said coldly. "Even if these ships are real, you are still outnumbered. 50 Zephyrian warships have never known defeat." "You're right about being outnumbered," Lisa agreed. "But not in the way you think." She gestured to Jack, who put the sensor readings on the main screen. The display showed the Zephyrian fleet as small red dots completely surrounded by thousands of green contacts. "Current count is 4,000. 732 Ghost Fleet vessels," Lisa announced, "and more are still coming online." The first Ghost Fleet ship to fully decloak was the battleship New York, commanded by Admiral Rachel Stone. The massive vessel was twice the size of the largest Zephyrian dreadnought, its angular black hull covered in weapon emplacements that looked like nothing the aliens had ever seen. Admiral Stone's image appeared on communication channels throughout both fleets. She was a stern-faced woman with short gray hair and eyes that had seen too much war. "This is Admiral Rachel Stone of the Terran Defense Force," she announced. "All Zephyrian vessels are ordered to power down weapons and prepare to surrender immediately." Supreme Commander Velkoth laughed harshly.
Surrender?
"I am Velkoth, conqueror of nations, destroyer of worlds. I do not surrender to anyone." "Then you will join the 43 civilizations you've destroyed," Admiral Stone replied without emotion. More Ghost Fleet ships were decloaking every second. The Chicago, Phoenix, Denver, and dozens of other massive warships appeared around the Zephyrian fleet. Each one was a masterpiece of human military engineering, designed by the best minds Earth had to offer and built in secret shipyards hidden throughout human space. But the real terror came from the smaller vessels. Thousands of sleek destroyers and cruisers moved with perfect coordination, their AI-controlled systems sharing tactical data faster than any biological mind could process. They moved like a school of fish or a flock of birds, each ship perfectly synchronized with the others. "This is impossible," Velkoth muttered, studying the tactical display. "How did you build so many ships without anyone knowing?" Lisa answered from her bridge on the Terra's edge. "Simple. We've been building them for 50 years. Every asteroid mining operation, every deep space research station, every exploration mission was actually cover for Ghost Fleet construction. While you were watching our exploration ships, we were preparing for this day." Dr. Nathan Clark looked up from his science station with excitement. "Captain, I'm reading the weapon signatures on those ships. The energy levels are incredible. Each Ghost Fleet vessel carries enough firepower to level a planet." "How many planets have the Zephyrians leveled, Nathan?" Lisa asked quietly. "According to our databases, they've destroyed at least 15 worlds that refuse to surrender." Lisa nodded grimly. "Then they understand the power they're facing." High Arbiter Zexthul was frantically sending messages to his fleet commanders. "All ships, battle stations, prepare for combat. We are still Zephyrian warriors." But his officers were already reporting problems. The Ghost Fleet ships were using some kind of jamming technology that interfered with Zephyrian communications and targeting systems. Their advanced computers, which had dominated dozens of other species, were struggling to lock onto the human vessels. Supreme Commander Velkoth attempted one last show of bravado. "Human Admiral, your ships may outnumber us, but we have something you lack. Experience. We have won 1,000 battles against impossible odds." Admiral Stone's expression didn't change. "Against whom? Peaceful explorers? Agricultural colonies? Scientists and farmers?" Her voice grew colder. "You've never faced an enemy that was prepared for you. You've never fought anyone who studied your tactics for decades and built their entire military specifically to counter your advantages. You're bluffing," Velkoth snarled. "Every battle you've ever fought has been recorded and analyzed," Admiral Stone continued. "Every weapon system, every tactical maneuver, every weakness in your formations. We've studied how you destroyed the Archeans, how you enslaved the Deltari, how you conquered the peaceful Voxtar civilization." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We know exactly how you fight because we've been watching you for 50 years, and we've designed every ship, every weapon, every tactical system specifically to kill Zephyrians." The first shot of the battle came when Zexthul, driven by fear and desperation, ordered his flagship to fire on the Terra's edge. His massive plasma cannons, which had shattered the defenses of countless worlds, launched burning projectiles across space toward the small human exploration vessel. The plasma bolt struck the Terra's edge and simply disappeared, absorbed by defensive shields that made the ship glow briefly with golden light before returning to normal. "Impossible," Zexthul whispered. Lisa Brooks smiled from her captain's chair. "Even our exploration ships carry military-grade defensive systems, High Arbiter. We learned from the mistakes of all the peaceful species you've destroyed. That's when the Ghost Fleet opened fire, and the Zephyrian Empire learned what human warfare really looked like. The first volley from just 10 Ghost Fleet destroyers completely vaporized 3 Zephyrian cruisers. The human weapons didn't use plasma or energy beams like most galactic civilizations. Instead, they fired solid projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic fields, creating kinetic impacts that could punch through any known armor. Antimatter torpedoes, each one carrying enough energy to power a city, streaked toward Zephyrian ships and detonated in brilliant flashes of annihilation. The aliens' shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, were useless against weapons that simply erased matter at the atomic level. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Supreme Commander Velkoth ordered desperately, but the Ghost Fleet ships were already anticipating every move. Their AI systems had analyzed 50 years of Zephyrian battle footage and could predict their enemies' actions with mathematical precision. The battle was not a fight. It was an execution. The space around Kepler 442b became a graveyard of twisted metal and floating debris. Zephyrian ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries were being torn apart by human weapons they couldn't understand or defend against. Supreme Commander Velkoth watched in horror as his mighty fleet died around him. The Eternal Conquest shook as kinetic rounds punched through its armored hull like paper. His bridge crew scrambled to maintain basic systems while alarms screamed throughout the ship. "Damage report," he demanded. "Hull breaches on decks 12 through 18, his engineering officer reported. "Main engines at 60%. Weapon systems failing across all sections." "How is this possible?" Velkoth muttered. "We are the Zephyrian Empire. We are invincible." On the bridge of the New York, Admiral Rachel Stone coordinated the battle with calm efficiency. Holographic displays showed the tactical situation in real time, with human AI systems tracking every Zephyrian vessel and predicting their movements with deadly accuracy. "Ghost Fleet Units 7 through 12. Concentrate fire on the enemy flagship," she ordered.
"I want Velkoth alive if possible."
"He has information we need about Zephyrian military installations." Acknowledged. "Admiral," came the synthesized voices of the AI commanders. The Ghost Fleet moved like a living thing, thousands of ships working together with perfect coordination. When Zephyrian vessels tried to break through their lines, human destroyers would shift position to block them. When the aliens attempted flanking maneuvers, cruisers would appear exactly where needed to cut them off. High Arbiter Zexthol's ship was dying around him. Half his crew was dead, and the other half was struggling to keep basic life support running. His proud flagship, which had led the conquest of 12 systems, was now a burning wreck drifting helplessly through space. "Sir," his communications officer gasped through blood-stained lips. "Incoming transmission from the human admiral." Admiral Stone's face appeared on the cracked main screen. Her expression was cold and professional. "High Arbiter Zexthol, your ship is disabled. Surrender now and your surviving crew will be treated according to galactic law." "Never," Zexthol snarled. "I would rather die than surrender to mammals." "That can be arranged," Admiral Stone replied without emotion. She cut the communication and turned to her weapons officer. "Target the Zephyrian flagship's bridge. End this." The Dominion of Veltar exploded in a ball of superheated plasma as antimatter torpedoes found their mark. High Arbiter Zexthul, who had enslaved millions and destroyed entire civilizations, died without ever understanding how badly he had miscalculated. Captain Lisa Brooks watched the battle from the bridge of the Terra's edge. Her crew was silent, awed by the sheer destructive power of humanity's hidden fleet. In less than 30 minutes, 50 Zephyrian warships had been reduced to scattered debris. "Captain," Katie Williams said quietly, "I'm receiving reports from across Zephyrian space. The Ghost Fleet is attacking their military bases, shipyards, and command centers simultaneously." "How many targets?" Lisa asked. "Over 200 installations across 43 systems, all being hit at exactly the same time." Dr. Nathan Clark looked up from his console with amazement. "Captain, the coordination required for this operation is incredible. They would need real-time communication across hundreds of light years." "Quantum entanglement networks," Tony Martinez explained from his engineering station. "Every Ghost Fleet ship is connected through quantum communication arrays. They can share tactical data instantly across any distance." Jack Murphy was studying the tactical display, watching the final Zephyrian ships being eliminated. "Captain, how long has humanity been planning this?" Lisa considered the question. "The Ghost Fleet project began 70 years ago, shortly after we developed faster-than-light travel. Our first deep space probes detected evidence of the Zephyrian Empire and other hostile civilizations. Earth's leaders realized we needed to prepare for the worst." She gestured toward the main screen, where the last Zephyrian cruiser was being torn apart by human weapons. "Every exploration mission, every scientific expedition, every peaceful contact with other species was also a military intelligence operation. We studied our potential enemies, learned their weaknesses, and built our forces accordingly. Supreme Commander Velkoth was trapped on his burning flagship, watching his empire's greatest fleet die around him. His communication systems were barely functional, but he managed to send one final message to Zephyrian High Command. "This is Supreme Commander Velkoth to all Zephyrian forces," he transmitted on all emergency frequencies. "The humans are not what they appear. They possess military technology far beyond our capabilities. Their fleet numbers in the thousands, possibly tens of thousands." Static filled the channel as another human torpedo detonated nearby, but Velkoth continued his desperate warning. "Do not engage human forces. Repeat, do not engage. They have been preparing for this war longer than any of us realized. The Empire is—" The transmission cut off as the Eternal Conquest finally succumbed to its injuries, breaking apart in a cascade of secondary explosions. Admiral Stone received confirmation that all Zephyrian vessels in the system had been destroyed. Not one enemy ship remained intact. The space around Kepler 442b was now filled with human vessels, their dark hulls reflecting the light of the system's star. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender requests from Zephyrian installations throughout their territory. It appears word of this battle is spreading quickly." "How many installations?" Stone asked. 47 military bases, 32 shipyards, and 15 command centers. They're all requesting terms for surrender." Admiral Stone nodded grimly. "Accept their surrenders but maintain full alert status. Deploy garrison fleets to each installation. I want complete control of former Zephyrian territory within 72 hours. On Zephyria Prime, the Empire's homeworld, emergency councils were meeting in panic. Reports were flooding in from across their territory. Human fleets had appeared simultaneously at every major military installation, offering surrender terms to forces that had never known defeat. The Zephyrian High Council, a group of ancient warriors who had ruled the Empire for centuries, gathered in their great hall to discuss the crisis. General Kekstar, Supreme Military Advisor, delivered the devastating news. "The humans have destroyed our primary battle fleet completely," he reported. "Supreme Commander Velkoth is dead, along with all 50 ships under his command. Similar reports are coming from throughout our territory." Council leader Hexthul, eldest of the Zephyrian rulers, stood slowly from his throne. "How many ships do the humans possess?" "Intelligence estimates suggest at least 10,000 warships, possibly more. They appear to have been building this fleet in secret for decades." "And our own forces?" General Kekstar's voice was hollow. "We have perhaps 3,000 operational warships scattered across 43 systems. Most are already under attack or have surrendered to human forces." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The mighty Zephyrian Empire, which had conquered nearly a quarter of their galaxy, had been defeated in a single day by a species they had dismissed as primitive mammals. "What do the humans want?" Council leader Hexthul asked. "Complete surrender of all military forces and the immediate release of all enslaved populations," General Kekstar replied. "They're also demanding the location of every world we've conquered and a full accounting of all crimes committed against civilian populations." "And if we refuse?" "They've made their intentions clear. Any Zephyrian forces that resist will be destroyed without mercy. They call it completing the extermination of a plague species." Back in the Kepler 442 system, Captain Lisa Brooks received new orders from Earth Command. Admiral Porter's weathered face appeared on her private communication screen. "Lisa, excellent work. The activation went perfectly." "Thank you, sir. What are our new orders?" "You and the Terra's Edge are to proceed to the former Zephyrian worlds and coordinate humanitarian relief efforts. There are billions of enslaved beings who will need assistance." Lisa nodded. "What about the Zephyrians themselves?" "Those who surrender will be processed according to galactic law. War crimes tribunals will be established for their leadership. The general population will be relocated to reservation worlds under human supervision." "And their military technology?" Admiral Porter's expression was grim. "All Zephyrian military assets are to be confiscated or destroyed. We can't risk another species acquiring their weapons and making the same mistakes." As the Terra's Edge prepared to depart for the first liberated world, Lisa took one final look at the debris field that had once been the proud Zephyrian fleet. 50 ships that had terrorized the galaxy were now nothing more than scattered metal and cooling plasma. The warning had been given. The Zephyrians had chosen to ignore it. Now no one would walk away to repeat their mistakes. 3 days after the Battle of Kepler 442b, the galaxy was a very different place. News of humanity's crushing victory over the Zephyrian Empire had spread through every communication network, every trade route, and every diplomatic channel in known space. Captain Lisa Brooks stood on the bridge of the Terra's Edge as her ship approached Vextar Prime, the first world on their liberation mission. The planet had been conquered by the Zephyrians 200 years ago, its peaceful population enslaved and forced to work in mining operations. Captain Dr. Nathan Clark reported from his science station. "I'm detecting massive cities below, but the energy readings are very low. Most of the infrastructure appears to be non-functional. Typical Zephyrian occupation," Lisa replied grimly. "They strip resources and provide minimal support for the local population." Katie Williams looked up from her communications console. "Captain, I'm receiving transmissions from the surface. Multiple languages, but they all seem to be saying the same thing." "Which is?" "They're asking if the rumors are true. If the Zephyrians are really gone." Lisa nodded to Katie. "Open a channel to the planet. All frequencies." When the communication link was established, Lisa spoke clearly and calmly. "People of Vextar Prime, this is Captain Lisa Brooks of the human vessel Terra's Edge. The Zephyrian occupation of your world is over. You are free." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Thousands of voices in dozens of languages flooded the communication channels, creating a chorus of celebration, disbelief, and joy that brought tears to the eyes of Lisa's crew. Tony Martinez wiped his eyes as he listened to the celebrations. "Captain, how many worlds are we liberating?" 43 systems, Lisa replied. "Billions of beings who have been enslaved for decades or centuries. On Earth?" Admiral Scott Porter stood in the Terran Defense Force Command Center, watching holographic displays that showed the complete collapse of Zephyrian military power. Red indicators throughout their former territory were turning green as human forces took control of key installations. "Admiral," his aide reported, "we're receiving diplomatic requests from over 60 different species. Everyone wants to establish formal relations with humanity." "What kinds of requests?" Porter asked. "Trade agreements, defense pacts, cultural exchanges. The Andromedan Coalition is offering full membership. The Centauran Republic wants to discuss technology sharing. Even the isolationist crystalline entities are requesting contact." Porter nodded thoughtfully. "What about hostile powers? Anyone else thinking of testing us?" "Negative, sir. The Corvin Syndicate has withdrawn all military forces from their border regions. The machine intelligence of Zerion has sent formal assurance that they have no territorial disputes with humanity. Everyone seems very eager to be on our good side." Meanwhile, on the world of Deltarai, former slaves of the Zephyrian Empire watched in amazement as human ships arrived in their system. The Deltarai people were small, peaceful beings with large eyes and gentle natures. They had been conquered 50 years ago and forced to serve as domestic servants throughout the Zephyrian Empire. Elder Seftal, the eldest surviving leader of the Deltarai, stood with his people as they watched the human ships descend from orbit. He had lived through the initial conquest, watched his people's cities burn, and spent 5 decades dreaming of freedom he never expected to see. When the human shuttle landed, Captain Amanda Price of the Ghost Fleet stepped out wearing the blue uniform of the Terran Humanitarian Corps. She was tall and confident, but her expression was kind as she approached the gathered Deltarai. "Elder Seftal," she said, speaking perfect Deltarai despite being human, "I bring greetings from the people of Earth and the promise that your suffering is over." The elderly Deltarai leader looked up at her with tears streaming down his face. "Is it real? Are the Zephyrians truly gone?" "Their empire no longer exists," Captain Price confirmed. "Their military forces have surrendered or been destroyed. Their leaders will stand trial for war crimes. Your people are free to rebuild your civilization as you choose." Elder Seftal fell to his knees, overcome with emotion. Around him, thousands of Deltarai began to sing an ancient song of freedom that had been forbidden for 50 years. On the bridge of the battleship New York, Admiral Rachel Stone received reports from liberation forces throughout former Zephyrian territory. Every world told the same story. Populations that had suffered under brutal occupation were celebrating in the streets, while Zephyrian administrators surrendered without resistance. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth. President Chen wants to address the galaxy." The image of President Sarah, Chen appeared on screens throughout human space and was simultaneously broadcast to every major civilization in the galaxy. The president of Earth stood behind a podium bearing the symbol of united humanity, her expression serious but hopeful. "Citizens of the galaxy," she began. 3 days ago, the Zephyrian Empire made the mistake of threatening human explorers and ignoring our warning to withdraw peacefully. The result was the complete destruction of their military forces and the liberation of 43 enslaved worlds. She paused, letting her words reach every corner of known space. Let me be clear about humanity's intentions. We did not seek this conflict. We offered diplomacy, trade, and friendship to the Zephyrian Empire. They chose violence and conquest instead. The responsibility for their destruction lies entirely with their own actions. President Chen's voice grew stronger as she continued. To the species that have suffered under Zephyrian rule, humanity extends the hand of friendship and support. We will help you rebuild your civilizations, recover your cultures, and reclaim your independence. You are free people, and you deserve to determine your own destinies. She looked directly into the camera, her message intended for every military leader and political ruler in the galaxy. To those who might consider following the Zephyrian path of conquest and enslavement, understand this: humanity will not tolerate predators who prey upon the innocent. We have demonstrated our capability to defend not just ourselves, but all peaceful species. The president's final words would be remembered for generations. We offer friendship to those who seek peace, and annihilation to those who choose war. The choice is yours. Back on Kepler 442b, Captain Lisa Brooks led an archaeological team to explore the ruins of the extinct Archean civilization that the Zephyrians had destroyed centuries earlier. The underground cities were vast and beautiful, filled with art and technology that spoke of a peaceful, advanced culture. Dr. Nathan Clark studied the Archean ruins with deep sadness. "Captain, these people were explorers and scientists just like us. They had universities, research centers, cultural institutions. The Zephyrians destroyed all of this simply because they could. How many civilizations like this did they wipe out?" Tony Martinez asked quietly. "According to captured Zephyrian records, at least 15 worlds were completely destroyed rather than conquered," Lisa replied. "Billions of beings who could have contributed to galactic civilization, gone forever." Jack Murphy was examining Archean star charts that had survived in sealed chambers. "Captain, these people had contact with dozens of species. They were like galactic ambassadors, helping other civilizations make peaceful contact with each other." Lisa nodded grimly, and the Zephyrians saw that cooperation as weakness to be exploited. As they explored deeper into the ruins, they found the Archean Hall of Memory, a vast chamber filled with holographic records of their civilization. The holograms activated as they entered, showing images of Archean daily life, their scientific achievements, and their philosophy of peaceful coexistence. The final recording was made by an Archean leader as Zephyrian forces attacked their world. Her words, translated by human computers, were a haunting echo of humanity's recent warning. "To whoever finds this record," the dying Archean said, "know that we offered the Zephyrians friendship and knowledge. We shared our discoveries freely and asked for nothing but peaceful coexistence. They destroyed us because we would not submit to slavery." She paused as explosions shook the building around her. Perhaps someday someone will arise who can stop the Zephyrian plague. Perhaps someone will give them the same choice we offered, and when they choose violence, will have the strength to end their evil forever. Lisa and her team stood in respectful silence as the ancient recording faded. The Archean's wish had finally come true, though 3 centuries too late for her people. 6 months later, the transformation of former Zephyrian territory was complete. Human aid ships had delivered supplies, medical assistance, and technological support to every liberated world. Former slaves were rebuilding their civilizations with help from human experts and resources. The Zephyrians themselves had been relocated to 3 designated worlds under human supervision. Their military leaders stood trial for war crimes, while their general population was given the opportunity to learn peaceful coexistence. Many younger Zephyrians, horrified by their species' history, volunteered to help in the reconstruction efforts. Captain Lisa Brooks received a new assignment from Earth Command. The Terra's Edge was to lead humanity's first diplomatic mission to the galactic core, where the oldest and most advanced civilizations waited to